Well, folks, I'd like to welcome back a gentleman who'll be very familiar to yourselves. That, of course, is Mr. Brian Vollmer of Helix. Welcome back to rockposer.com.
Nice to be back.
It's nice to be speaking to you again. I didn't realise how long it was since we did the last interview. It was back in 2014.
Well, the years fly by.
God, they certainly do. I know they always say the older you get, the quicker time goes, but yeah, they weren't kidding.
Last 2 years, though, I have flown by for Helix. Been a lot of places and a lot of stuff's been happening. Year's going to be fast, too.
Well, obviously, the last album you released was the compilation last year, which was Rocket Science. And I guess we'll start off, first of all, by talking about a track on there which I absolutely agree with 100%, which, of course, is Gene Simmons Says Rock is Dead, which is totally untrue.
Well, that song came about, it was written by Sean Kelly and myself, and it's basically just when Gene Simmons came out with that statement, Sean and I just thought, well, you're never going to kill rock and roll as long as there's a kid out there that wants to play it, and I don't think the kids initially get into the music business for money. They get into it for the sex, drugs, and rock and roll, so...
I don't think anyone's in it for the money now, to be honest, are they?
Well, that's Gene Simmons' point, that the music industry is a hard place to make money nowadays because of illegal downloading and, in North America, the death of the bar circuit, because that's where bands train to be better bands and write songs and travel and tour, and that isn't around anymore.
No, it seemed to be a real sort of mixture of how bands get on touring-wise. I mean, the UK, the rock scene, it has to be said, is very, very healthy indeed at the moment. Lots of great new young bands about, and also Scandinavia. I mean, my God, they're pumping stuff out like they wouldn't believe. The Americans, I guess, the American market really got a bit of catching up to do.
Well, I don't know about that. In North America, the bar circuit died for a variety of reasons. In Canada, for instance, we used to play 6-7 days a week, 3 to 5 sets a night, right across the country from coast to coast. Now you're lucky if you can find bars that are open on Friday and Saturday. So with that hole the rest of the week, where do you go?
That's very true.
That's the problem. Back when we were playing the bar circuit in the 70s and 80s, you lived in the hotel. The club would give you rooms. So you can go out there and live and tour right across the country, take your music out to the people. But nowadays, you can't get out of town. And in Canada, especially because the large distances between the cities, like I said, what do you do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday if, you're trying to get out of town? It then requires for you to buy hotel rooms, travel, and in the States, it's just as bad. It all boils down to money, though.
It does, but also certainly a lot of sort of pubs and clubs seem to prefer to book covers bands rather than original acts. It's almost like sort of glorified karaoke.
Well, perhaps, but back when we started, that's how you learnt your licks. You learn cover songs, and then through your cover songs, you learn how to play your instrument, how to sing, how to perform, how to entertain, and it also gives you structure, too, I think, when you wrote your own music. Nowadays, where the hell does a young band play to actually learn how to play?
Well,
that's where the bar scene comes in. That's where we learned, anyway.
Well, it's got to be said, one date that you certainly have got, and it's a big date indeed. Of course, you are playing Sweden Rock in June.
Sweden Rock's going to be great. I've been trying to get back on that gig for years now. When we originally played, I think back in 2006, we had a different lineup, and it wasn't really indicative of Helix, but it was the lineup I had at the time. All nice people and good players, but now I have a solid lineup in the band. The core of the band, which is still Daryl and me and Fritz, is from the 80s lineup, so familiar to fans. And then the two young guys, which are great players, good attitudes, and I think the reason we got Sweden Rock was because we went over and we played Rock Classic in Stockholm in December, and we aced that show. And so that got us on the bill there. But we got some other great shows coming up. We're playing 3 festivals in Western Canada in August. One of them is with Randy Bachman. We're playing a couple with Honeymoon Suite, who we toured back in the day. And actually, I just had a couple more dates coming yesterday. London, Ontario, which is their hometown. That's going to be in April. Perhaps been out in Newfoundland. So lots of stuff going on here. I think that it's going to fill up even more with Helix, because this year in Canada, it's the 150th anniversary of the country, 150th anniversary of the province of Ontario as well. So there's probably going to be a lot of money going out through the government for celebrations and things like that. So I would imagine more festivals, which means more work for us.
Well, I hope so indeed. Festivals here in the UK seem to be more and more new festivals all the time. And what's great is they're adding a lot of, shall we say, the older bands, because people still, there's still a market. People still hark for it. You've also got, of course, the likes of the Monster Rock Cruise, which is incredibly popular for older bands and a few new bands as well. So the market is still there, but as you said, it's just getting the people together for that market.
Well, there's a real, how can I say it? There maybe is a smaller audience for this, but the people that followed heavy metal, heavy rock in the 70s and 80s, that didn't have 2 dimes to rub together back then. Now there are people that are older in age. They're stroking things off their bucket list, for a better term. They got disposable income, and they don't, they don't care how much money they got to spend if they want to go see a band that they want to go see. It's not like when they were a teenager. And so, especially the Monsters of Rock Cruise and outdoor festivals and things like that, it's a much better venue for them to see the band. Once again, that's in detriment to bars, because, bars for years were I don't know about Europe, but I know in North America, a lot of bands recording actually gone into the bars, and it hurt us because we couldn't really ever look good. Dark, dingy bar with crappy PA and lights. So that's adding to the resurgence of this type of music. With the collapse of the bar scene, it actually turned out to be a good thing in Canada for Helix, because it forced us into festivals and casinos where suddenly we had these great PAs and good lights, and suddenly the fans that followed us way back in the 80s were seeing us in a proper venue again, instead of a crappy bar which like with bad gear. So it's coming around for a variety of reasons, and especially Monsters of Rock, nice venues once again, and the festivals. People want to go out, they want to see the band, and we're happy to oblige going out and playing.
I did the Monster Rock Cruise a couple of years ago now, and it's got to be said, it was absolutely a blast seeing the bands, and also just having a good time in the sun with lots of people. Obviously, are there for one reason, that is for the bands that are playing, rather than just people who are hanging around in bars, not particularly interested in who's playing.
Well, not only that, you get to meet the bands.
One thing I'm going to ask you is, obviously, as we said earlier, Rocket Science came out last year. Are you working on new material? Are we looking at a new album maybe out later this year or next?
Well, I've taken a different approach to Helix rather than release CDs, because let's face it, people's attention spans are like 30 seconds long. So I found the last couple albums, once you get past the first song, people don't really listen to the rest of the CD. So I thought, instead of releasing a CD, I'm going to release one song at a time and put my money behind it. I got different writers I'm working with. The first song that we're going to release is one by the band called The Devil Is Having a Party Tonight. I know the band wanted to write, and most of the last albums I was writing with Sean Kelly, back when I did Power Rock and Roll, was with Steve Gord Pryor and Steve George Kapopoulos. So I said to the guys, okay, I said, well, here's the deal. You got to write something, but it's got to be as good as the stuff that I've been writing with these other guys. They went, fine, sure. So we got together and we jammed. We came up with some stuff. So we got that song coming. I wrote one with Gord and Steve. I got Run Happening with Sean Kelly. So we'll keep releasing one song at a time. Nice one song at a time as I get to focus on the song. In other words, to properly market the song, because that's what you're doing with your bands. Needs to be coordinated with the video. But, so, you got to have it, especially up where you can buy it as a digital download. The people have to be able to buy it. So all that has to be coordinated. So we have the song recorded, mixed and mastered now. So when I get back home, we're somehow going to have to squeeze a video in there. Just, like I said, it doesn't have to be an expensive video, as long as we got something out there just to, show the band, showcase the band. And I released the song to Canadian radio by what's called DMDS, which is the digital download service that delivers the song to program directors at the radio station. So, all that stuff has to be coordinated. And then when we get enough tracks there, then we'll put out a CD. Now, I am putting out a solo CD, but it's going to be mostly cover material.
Okay.
There's a couple original songs on it. I think like 8 cover tracks. And I'm going to do that in the spring, but it's more of a rhythm and blues type of deal that I'm going to be putting together.
That sounds very interesting indeed. That really does. Look, I'll have to keep my eye out for that one. But it's your approach with regarding just releasing single tracks of that is not unusual. I mean, there's quite a few bands are doing it now, and then other bands, of course, are taking sort of the pledge music route, where obviously offering fans extras if they pre-order the album and as a way of raising money. I guess with the music industry being the way it is, whatever fits whatever particular band.
That's correct. For something like for something like Helix, that's too slow to go. That what's it called, where they raise money on the internet?
There's various things. There's pledge music, and there's about half a dozen different
like
formats.
They call different things, right? To me, it's a pain in the ass. It's just I know I like things being done now. I don't want to wait 6 months. It's just like Canada, you got factory grants and stuff like that through the government, right? But you're applying for stuff like eight months down the road. I do stuff like when I'm in the music business, it's like takes nanoseconds for things to change. That's why I got the new website, because it just took so long with the old website. I couldn't change stuff on the fly, right? And so after many years of being with my webmaster, who was with me from high school on, believe it or not, I switched it to a model where I'm doing stuff myself. I'm putting up my own videos, my own still pictures, my own bios, and that way I have a total control over it, and I can move my own speed. But I look at songs nowadays like they're commercials. I don't even look at them as something where I'm going to make money. I look at them like it's an advertisement for touring coming up, because touring is really where we make our money. So last year when we had Gene Simmons out, I released a song in the spring, and then we started summer touring. And, it wasn't setting the world on fire or anything. We got about 1,000 hits, but it was enough to grab people's attention. I always look at it like this: if I got 30,000 people listening to me on radio, I'd be a star. So if I got 30,000 legitimate hits, and I'd be legit on something like Facebook or that, when you got that out, it's at least getting the word out there that you're still around and things. I do a lot of marketing the band myself. I'm constantly on that computer every day, working the computer, sending out feelers to people, posting videos on Facebook, YouTube. We got a person that does Twitter. So, people think when you've been around as long as Helix, 43 years, that you just kind of advertise yourself by just existing, but it's not true. You've got to be out there digging and you know, looking for interviews, looking for any way you can to publicize the band.
No, I totally agree. I think there is a real danger that if you don't keep everything up to date and you don't pursue the likes of Facebook and Twitter, that you do kind of fall off the edge, so to speak.
Yeah, you have to be relevant. You can't just sit back in your laurels and do what I call the milk run. And that's why we always put out new material. The reason I got into music in the first place was to create music to entertain. So I never understood artists who went, oh, I'm not going to put out music anymore, I can't make any money, blah, 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 whine, right? You know, either do it or suck it up, buttercup. We continue to put out music. I love doing it, and as long as I'm making money doing it, then why should I ever stop?
Well, certainly from my point of view as a long-term fan, I'm just pleased that you are still putting out music and you guys are still around.
Well, if you do things for the right reasons, I think that things will work out for you in life in general, not just music. But so I take that attitude, and you know, every year I don't know how we're going to get through the year ahead of us, but I'm always kids up. I had some people phone me the other day. They wanted to license one of the songs off the Christmas album for a TV special coming up. So you can never see around the corner or down the road. So you just try to go forward, and like I said, things seem to work out.
Absolutely. Well, Brian, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you once again. I know you guys are going to go down the Storm at Sweden Rock. That is a fantastic festival. It'll be fantastic if at some stage we can get you back over to the UK on a festival basis. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed on that, and we'll see if we can work and get that to happen. Because that would be brilliant.
I'd love to come to the UK. You know, my wife is English, and she's in Blackpool, worked at the Hard Rock in London, and we have friends still back home, Bernie Shaw, Ray Heap, Murray. My wife just said in the background, where are you from?
I live down in Kent, just south of London. But
yes.
But my wife's mother lived in Blackpool for many years, so I do know Blackpool.
And we see Dave and Jillian LeBon when we're over there. They're good friends of ours. That's Simon's brother. I've never met Simon. But David's brother's a good friend of mine, and nice guy. So we have definite connections with England. It's just getting back over there. We spend our winters now down in Florida, so you know, a lot of our cash goes into just staying down here for 4 months.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I mean, we moan about our winters here, but it's not exactly like
I'm looking at palm trees, and it's about 80 degrees out.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, our winters are not exactly like a Canadian winter.
Yeah, that's why we're down here.
Don't blame you. Brian, an absolute pleasure, sir, and hopefully I'll speak to you again soon.
Okay, you take care. Have a great day.
Cheers now.
Cheers.